There we go. See? Sometimes Twitch being bad and putting off the start of stream with extremely delayed ad start is a good thing because it gives me time to realize that my mic is off again. Now it's on. Hi, how are you doing? Happy Monday. Welcome to the final Banishers Ghosts of New Eden stream. I am happy to demo this, which is our live cat cam, although it is doing some weird tessellation that I'll have to sort later, but at least it works, and I think that's important. Hello, Jasmine. Yeah, hi. I do also have, and am very tempted to use the little like wireless, the clip-on mic that has cat hair on it. We can just put it right on the collar so that she can purr right into it. The only problem is that it's so close to my other mic that if I don't mute this at the same time, we'll have fun echo times, and I don't know that anyone needs that. So that's all beside the point, but I am enjoying getting to show this off. There you go. Hi. Yeah, is it better? Whoop, 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 whoop. Angle it a little bit. Catch the whole cat. There she is. Perfect. So the look, now you can see the looks that she gives me whenever I stop petting her. That makes me happy. Yeah. So, that's all beside the point, as I am stalling for, as long as I'm stalling for time. Let's get a drink. So we're finishing up Banishers. Hey, Al. Ghosts of New Eden tonight. Try to keep that away from the actual mic. Hopefully it wasn't super loud. Which, I'm excited about for multiple reasons. One, I like the ending of this game. Thank you. I'm glad that this is working out. This is my backup webcam, and as you can see, it's not as high of quality, but like it's enough that you can see a cat. Now that she has made this post her like regular thing, I finally have a good spot to set this up. Because it used to be when they were like on the tower or on the monitor or on the, on the like tower itself, the cat tower or the PC tower, I didn't really have a good place that I could set this up, but Jasmine has found a new home that she is very happy with, and is also very convenient to run a webcam cable. And I may play around with settings later so that the weird tessellation goes away. But away from home and kind of miss cricket. I'm so sorry. That is so, like, I know that most of us as pet owners are giant babies when it comes to our giant babies. But I just know that I sympathize. We, usually Bast and I will have kind of a running, like, joke anytime that we're going to be away for more than, like, 3 or 4 days from home of, like, how many days do you think it will take before we miss the kittens? And, sometimes it's literally, like, the night we arrive at the location, and it's like, aw, man. Jasmine, do you want to... There you go, you got a good, like... good Halloween arch going on. Alright, there we go. I'll leave this up. I've got a button that will let me toggle it on while we're gaming, so I don't have to mess around with OBS. But yeah, anyways, so let's be getting distracted by new technology. Really, Jasmine, you're gonna walk over there now that I set up this nice thing for you? Let's go. There. You are sort of a main cam diva, that's fair. But yes. So, tonight, as we wrap up Banishers Ghosts of New Eden, I don't think it's going to take the whole stream to finish the game. So I've got some stuff planned if we have time left over. Of course, I've said that before and I've been totally wrong, so we'll see. That's right. But I mentioned, I think, during the ad break that I'm kind of excited to get to the end of this game for a couple of reasons. Cat food just went off. One is that I like the endings of this game, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't have streamed it in the first place, to be honest. But the other is because I realized last week that we've been in Happy Ever After season since the start of the year. I think technically we started Signalis like the very end of December 2023. And it's about to be June. So, like... I started off in January being like, "Hey, I have lots of ideas for like fun little seasons for this year," and we've gotten to one, and it's just been half the year already. I don't have any regrets about that. I think these games have been fantastic and well worth it. Um, I did not expect a couple of them to be as deep as they were. Slay the Princess in particular really surprised me with just how much there was in it. Um, but yeah, hey, better. How many seasons do we really have in this state? That's a fantastic point. I need to find that list that somebody made of like the 12 seasons in the South. Mostly because like the fourth or fifth one is Fool's Spring, which is my favorite thing ever. Where it gets warm for a little bit in like mid to late February and then crashes back down somewhere in mid to late March. Which happens with alarming regularity. But I love that it's, yeah, Fool's Spring. But it had like 12 different seasons, and most of the middle ones are like, Summer, Summer to Electric Boogaloo, Construction, and I forgot what the three were after that. But yeah, so that's fun. But yeah, so I have lots of other games planned. I'm probably going to switch to shorter games for a bit after this, just as a way to switch things up. But with me, I can turn a short game into a long game without really trying. There was a bit where I was considering. I'm just babbling now. There's a bit where I was considering doing a one-off and then jumping into the next season. But I think I'm just going to go into the next thing and get through at least a few of those before the end of the year. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. We'll talk about that more towards the end of the stream. And now that I've used almost all of the preamble on nonsensical non sequiturs, let's talk about recap and then content warnings, and then we'll actually go ahead and get started with the ending. So last time, I think, was when we learned, we talked to Kate. We learned about Grace, who Seeker used to be. She's left Grace behind entirely and is Seeker now. Also is probably Ceridian. They haven't really gone into a lot of depth on that yet. But it's all the same flesh body, at least for those that trio of people. She apparently was a student of Denver Comenia. She also was a classmate of Kate Newsmith, and a buddy in illicit material reading with Lamentation Haskell. So Grace was kind of at the center of a lot of this stuff. And about the time that Deborah's witch trial happened, Grace had just disappeared. We found it was because Lemmy had given her, or I think Deborah had actually given her the makings of a spell to help her hide from people. And she used the spell and it worked. And she disappeared and returned as Seeker, working under Ceridian to hone her magical talents. And it was actually shortly after that Deborah was accused of witchcraft. And one kangaroo court later was thrown down in the mines and chained up. And as a result of all that, now we have this nightmare that is kind of wearing her face and has cursed the whole town. A town that is run by three people who were, well, two of them were instrumental in the witch trial. Thixkin wasn't really involved in that and may just be an incidental asshole who got caught up in the sweep. Excuse me. Which, I'm not mad about. But we'll come to the end of all this. So we made our way back at long last to New Edentown. While we were in the Void, we met Calendre. We met Calendre, who was the spirit who had posed as a friend of Antea's, or who actually had posed as a little girl and become a friend of Antea's when Antea was young, and convinced Antea to set fire to her house with her mother still inside, which is kind of brutal. Found out that Calendre was not even a ghost, but some other kind of malign spirit. It had a name and it worked for somebody, and neither of those matter. What matters is the history and the fact that Calendre is kaput, and now we are finally back in New Edentown, where all of this nonsense started. So, this will be it. We're still on the resurrection route, and if we finish with enough time, I'm going to go ahead and showcase the other two endings, because I have some thoughts. But one thing at a time. Let's see, winter, full spring, second winter, spring of deception, third winter, the pollinating, that's what a good season not to forget. Actual spring, summer, hell's front porch, false fall, second summer, actual fall. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's a little too real. Anyway, before we get into the game, though, we do need to talk about content warnings, which did not properly... Did my button work? Alright, 1 second. Do my other buttons work? My other buttons work. Why is this one not working? Well, fine. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. And I'll muck with my stream deck later. So, content warnings for tonight's stream. This game deals with death pretty significantly. At this point, we're past the haunting cases, so we just have to deal with Antea, and we're bringing her back to life. But overall, this game deals with death. Also, sexism, a lot of that comes into play with how Deborah was treated and ultimately killed. We're probably past the racism at this point, but Antea may make some last mention of the racism that she has suffered under up to this point in her life. Similarly, I think the domestic abuse we're probably past. So most of these, I think, are for if you watch the past VODs, just keep these in mind. Violence against animals, we might have to fight some more wolves on the way. One last for the road. A couple of other things that are not on this list. There's kind of a body horror element with the zombies being raised by spirits and things like that. The other one that's not on here is there will be one instance of a presentation of something effectively akin to dementia. And as someone who's had some personal experience with that through family members, it's a bit of a, no pun intended, haunting scene. So I wanted to forewarn on that. I think that's all the content warnings. Also fuck the pollinating. Also fuck the pollinating. Completely agreed. With that, I think let's go ahead and get into the game. And I'm gonna test one thing before we get into it. There. Okay, good. So if Jasmine comes back, we'll be able to toggle the cat cam back on. At least that button's working. I'll troubleshoot my other button later. It's the cat camera. Well, I guess it could be the chat camera. All right. I guess if you're French. With that, I couldn't tell if you had misheard me or if you were just deliberately. Fair enough. Little column A, little column B. On my list of things, and we'll see if logistically it works out, but on my list of things to try to stream before the end of the year, probably very towards the end of the year, is to do a co-stream with Bast of Riven, which they're remastering. And I'm very much looking forward to that one.
But as Charles would say, another day, another soul to save.
These people have no idea what they're up against. We really had no idea what we were walking into.
You died because I was arrogant.
I did. And you were.
Appreciate the emphasis she puts on were. Making sure all of our audio is still capturing. Yes, good, good. We love it. I don't know why I'm still gathering stuff. Like, this is the end game. We're not upgrading materials anymore. I think most of our gear is already at max, actually. I still love this. This coat is fantastic. There were many other, like, chess pieces to choose from, and none of them even rate, I think, by comparison. We could be wearing full armor, and nope. Is it more protective? Sure. Is it more fashionable? No. Alright, this is the docks where we met Sincere Parish.
The corrupted heart. You aim at its roots.
Alright, we've got another one of these. Oh, that's that giant gout of spectral flame is probably where we're going. Alright, this one goes over here. We want to find the little things to shoot first. Harbor log. Oh, this is the thing that revealed our Huguenot spy. Okay, so there's one down there. One up there. These usually come in... Oh, I was about to say, these usually come in threes, and then... Alright, so there, and then we'll rush over to the third one. Yep. 1, 2. Whoop. It's close, but we got there. Goodbye. Hey. Right, I forgot we got an upgrade where when we like do a weak spot hit with the rifle, Antea gets a free kick.
Think you could
Or a free punch. So it's like, we'll shoot them and then she'll rush in and just clobber them out of left field, which I think is extremely cool, and I wish I had gotten to it sooner. Fusion is very nice. The trick to make weak Banishers stronger.
Would you like to sanctity marriage?
Esther wouldn't dare. And we don't need a piece of paper to keep us together.
Aye, I remember you telling her.
Aw.
I miss us.
We'll soon be back.
Back
There you go.
together. Always.
Forever.
I see a light.
How? Could Esther still be here?
Hey, Cherry. Are the people still in their homes?
Anybody home?
I mean, I guess this makes sense because the town like split into three and became the Harrow's Hamlet, Fort Jericho, and the Hunter's Camp, and we never met Evelyn out there. So
The grandfather's house begun. The horse moves away to carry the sleigh through the white and drifting snow.
Esther?
Rory? Are you a dream?
Oh no, you've been here the whole time.
Are you here? Are you really here?
I am. We are. Have you been here alone all this time?
No, not alone. Charles visits from time to time. We talk.
Wait, how? We ascended him. Oh, right.
That's not Charles. Charlie had his ascent. Do you remember?
Oh yes, I remember. It's all very foggy. Do we ever mend the wounds of true love lost?
Esther, do you know?
Poignant.
Antea? Yes, I know you.
She can see ghosts.
You come to Red as Charles comes to me. How very good of you.
Dearest Esther, I died. I am a ghost.
You know, I'd have liked to join your games. You three, chasing ghosts and whatnot. I learn fast. But not today. Today feels like a dream.
Uh-huh. To death do his part rings a little hollow after this route anyway. I mean, one assumes eventually it will, but you're right. Like, the death happened and it did not part them. And now we're gonna undo it.
What's happened in New Eden while we were gone?
Oh, everyone left. I did not wish to join them. She let me stay.
Huh.
She? Deborah?
Speak not her name. It makes her angry. She is much more powerful now, and your return has already vexed her.
I'm okay vexing her. We're not here to vex her. We're here for Antea.
We're here for Antea's body. It is her tie, and the nightmare has it.
Yes. By her body she is held hostage. Her flesh is her tie. Charles told me all about it.
We must break the tie to set Antea free.
She won't surrender it. You'll have to end her. But if she goes, then Charles goes too.
Oh, honey.
I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
We're gonna have to fight Esther? So, for anybody who wasn't with us for an earlier episode of this, back in Fort Jericho, we met Helen Priest, who believed that she had been visited by her husband Sebastian, who had been dead for 7 years. And we found out in time that Sebastian was not Sebastian's ghost at all, but was a simulacrum that had been created by the puppeteer. So it sounds like something similar has happened here, where Esther is talking to a Charles... a specter wearing a Charles suit.
What's going on up at the meeting house?
I do not ask about the meeting house, and nor should you.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Worshipped there. That Charles would give his sermons there. There of all places.
Let's go inside.
All things good and bad have their end. The meeting house is just a place. We'll go there and find a finish.
You're a brave and gentle soul, Red McGrath. I shall remember you when you're gone. If remember I still can.
Oh no.
What awaits us in the meeting house?
You know. You know who awaits you there. Behind the eerie overgrowth. The meeting house is her garden now. Her hate is deeply rooted. And her climbing, crawling creepers reach out across the land. Like the tree of blood that grows from out your heart.
Okay. You said saying her name vexes her. Well, we've done it once.
Can we speak of Deborah?
Don't say her name. She'll hear you. She'll hear our thoughts.
Let her. Truth is not to be feared. Truth is freedom. There's no ending to the story until the truth is told.
Red, you are a dear, dear friend. But there is no truth that does not look like a nightmare. And the difference between the two cannot be told.
I was going to say this is real, but I don't know that for sure.
Nothing stands against the truth, and even a nightmare's power must have its limit.
And what if the limit is the frontier of New Eden? What if here she is all powerful and there is no escape?
What will pass will pass. And if it does, and we are free, what will you do?
I'll away back to London. New Eden is lost now and for centuries to come.
She seems oddly well informed. Yeah, I'm wondering if being in this town means that she's essentially... that there's like a psychic bleed between her and the nightmare. She said the nightmare let her stay. And I'm wondering if the nightmare is kind of keeping her as a pet. Should be
Goodbye,
troubling.
Esther. Perhaps we'll meet again.
Perhaps we shall. It's so very pleasant to speak to new old friends. To time.
Oh, honey. Okay, we're gonna come back and check on you when this is all done. But first, I do have to punch a nightmare in the jaw.
He had in his right hand 7 stars.
It's time. There she is.
It breaks my heart to see her this way.
Yeah.
This is the nightmare's doing.
We need to be careful. We're in her stronghold now.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, she just comes in and kicks them. I love it. Unless I miss, in which case I don't love it so much.
Your funeral!
That's great. My first playthrough, I barely used the rifle, so essentially building around it from the start this time has been really fascinating. Just how differently the game plays.
After this, we should set sail somewhere warm and safe, where the dead don't linger.
No such place. But it's not a bad idea.
The Lesser Palingenesis ritual. I've never done anything like this.
Neither have I. But if you do, all could be as it was before.
And yet nothing shall ever be the same again.
Are we still debating this? We're doing it. We've been doing it since the beginning.
'Tis strange to be back.
It's strange to sleep near the place where you died.
Still, rest you should. You'll need it.
And you can't bathe twice in the same river. It's not the same river and you're not the same man.
And yet nothing shall ever be the same again.
Aye. You'll come back changed. And you'll come back to find that I am changed.
Of course we'll have changed, but we'll be alive, with a lifetime of changing stretching out before us.
And we'll be together.
For better or worse.
Since we returned to New Eden, I've felt like something's on your mind. What are you not telling me?
That night in this room, I asked you for caution. I worried you'd act rashly, and you promised me you would not. Then you did it anyway.
I thought you'd gone to the meeting house without me.
I died to save you.
Is that why your ghost returned? Is that why you stayed?
Yes, I stayed because I was angry. Angry with you.
I think I've known that for a while now.
The anger lingers. Part of me resents you yet. For my pain and my fear. For my suffering. For my dying. I resent you.
Thea, I am truly sorry.
I know you are. But soon, I'll be back. Then we'll both bathe in this new river. Together.
Alright. Well, we don't have anything new to spend on or upgrade, so... Alright, let's go finish this.
It is time.
What if I fail once more? One wrong choice will exact a heavy price.
Whatever happens, we will face it. For better or worse.
Funny, I can't really tell if it's day or night, just given the heavy cloud cover here. There we go.
Spectre, going for a meat suit.
Not for long. Every time. It cracks me up every time. Oop, big one.
Spectre possession.
Well, that's awkward.
I think he likes us much.
Whoop. Nope. Just a little short. Okay, so we got roots.
I'll destroy the roots.
This one goes... Aha. Behind the cart. It is the rabbit. Just noticed someone loaded this cart up with sticks. Which, like, they're good sticks. Don't get me wrong, but, like, it's just... Build a wagon with sticks. There's one there. One there. And one there. Okay, cool. Yeah. Come on.
Did I ever mention how good we are together?
No Eden suffers. We suffer.
Good to hear.
My friends, I have disturbing news.
Pennington?
Among us walks a witch. Is that not so, Deborah Comenius? Lock her up.
No! No! 'Tis not true! I am no witch!
So that's how it all began.
Aye. With ordinary evil from the hearts of fearful men.
So, obviously in this playthrough, we did the, like... We played the blame game. I've since gone back through and done the full Ascension run. And I'll talk about that more later when we get to the ending of this one. But one thing that I find interesting is that you do actually get a little bit more insight into some elements. Like, so Saul Pennington, who was the guy in the armor with the mustache at Fort Jericho, was Grace's father, Seeker's father. And apparently this whole thing with the witch trial began because Pennington essentially caught Deborah giving Grace literature that he disapproved of. He claimed it was witchcraft. Realistically, I'm betting it was just essentially not Puritan literature. Because she's a school teacher and she was actually, like, independent herself and believed that, you know, say, young girls should also have the same insight. Because she was a good teacher. And because of that, Pennington declared her a witch, and then Haskell got pressured by his townfolk when they threatened his son to confirm that. Isn't that witchcraft, though? I mean, that's essentially how the scene played out. And I appreciate that they kept it just subtle enough that it's like, oh yeah, no, he genuinely believes that giving women knowledge is witchcraft, and couldn't tell the difference between the two. And that's how this all kicked off. So it's because Grace ran away from home and had the ability to hide from her father that Pennington essentially took his wrath out on Deborah. And it's, yeah, I don't feel bad at all about ripping that dude's soul out of his body. And giving it to Antea for a snack. So you're saying she never really weighed the same as a duck at all? I know, shocking, but it's true. It's a fair court. How do you know so much about swallows? Sorry, it's just...
Deborah,
Now I'm in Holy Grail mode.
this court finds you guilty of the devil's work. Guided by God's mercy, I pass sentence on the witch. Pain forte Dieu. Confess and name your accomplices, or die for your sins.
I have nothing to confess.
How could they have let this happen?
Not a soul stood or spoke for her. There's no justice here. It's a travesty.
It is, and also, holy crap, this house design, amazing. That's some beautiful horror movie set design right there. Love that. Obviously, it's tragic, but like in a beautiful way. Alright, we got one there, one in the well. Is there one over here I can see? Whoop, keep running. No, okay. Where's this one? Oh, that one is that one. Okay, got it. Is it just those two? Maybe it's just those two?
Confess, witch. None stand for you. Your coven has betrayed you. Name them, and you shall live.
I am no witch. You know this. All of you. Do not turn away from me. You must release me. You must. Will no one speak for me? Anyone? Please. Help me. Help me.
Oof.
I feel her distress, her rising terror, her dark despair.
She's suffered enough. And so have we.
Yeah, fair. What she said in Holy Grail is, it's a fair cop, meaning she was admitting to being a witch. Yeah, it's just, it's such a silly scene. When did Charles and Esther move here? That's actually a good question. I don't I know that Charles was like a pillar of the community. I don't know if he was here 7 years ago. He was definitely here for a while to have been essentially made the religious leader of the town. But his absence from any of these scenes makes me, and from the initial interaction with what we now know to be the Nightmare in the Graveyard, I think Charles came here after Deborah's trial. But I'd have to probably poke back through the other stuff to confirm that. But I think he'd show up in some of these conversations if he had been here at the time, is my guess.
Here, my body, my flesh displayed like a trophy.
More like bait.
Thank you, I was thinking bait. Yeah, here we go. I would hope that he at least would have an issue with this. Yeah. I don't think Charles is that bad of a guy. At a minimum, I'd expect him to be like, we'd hear from him. So I think he came here after.
So, the circle is complete.
Hi? Oh, that's a neat trick.
Do you return to the beginning? Or is it the beginning of your return?
You gonna throw me out the window again?
A paradox. How clever. How it pleases you to play with time.
Hey.
Deborah, we know what happened to you. We know what they did to you.
What they did. What they do. I shatter yet.
We're not here to hurt you. You have my body and I want it back. That's all. Help us. Because we can help you.
No, you cannot.
All right. And the kick. Oh no, oh no. Seems bad. What if we... Haha. Double banish.
You've already
Okay. You know what? Fusion time.
so gullible.
I see you making clones. I don't think it's helping any. Oh, that again?
I can barely feel a thing.
There. Woo! Okay, now the clones are helping.
You will pay.
Nope. Bad timing, bad timing. Woo! Shit. That's right, we're much higher level now.
Enough.
Oh, you're not Deborah.
You are me. Yet you oppose me. They murdered us. Make them pay.
No. They do not deserve our rage, not these two.
All deserve our wrath. They crushed the breath from us. You know this. You asked for this.
Oh.
Not anymore.
Oh, kiddo.
It's over. You have been heard.
Just put that in the rock pocket.
Truth is out.
No! Come back! Feed upon the pain, the treachery, the outrage!
Oh.
It hurts.
Behold my wrath!
Alright, right. Okay, round two. So, pausing here for a moment. I like that the circle... I mean, I don't like this fact. Narratively, I like that the circle was made up of people who featured in the haunting cases. Like, there was the guy with the helmet there was Andrew White, who was the dude who wouldn't let us into Fort Jericho when we first rolled up. Florence, the Huguenot spy, was in the back there. Caleb Watson was in there. I didn't recognize everybody, but, like, all of the people in there are folks that you can meet and potentially help. And just get to know during their haunting cases, and then you get to this scene and you find that every single one of them picked up a rock, and it's like, oh, but it's yeah, Yee. Whoop! Oh no. Okay, we're doing ow. We have an expanded repertoire, I see. Haha.
They locked us up!
Go ahead and do one of those. Oh, it's these moves. I know these moves. You're the puppeteer. Ow. Yep, there are the chains. Ooh, nice move. Oh, what we got now? Woo! Okay.
Remember the bite of the chain!
There we go. Oh no. Uh-huh. Yes! And a banish!
They seek a monster. Don't give it to them.
Right, we actually have, like, a whole bunch of ghost ties.
No one! They tortured us! Killed!
Got it, and now it's the infamy.
On me!
Woo! No. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. No. Nope. Oh, yuck. Okay. Woo! Move.
They started it!
I mean, you're not wrong.
They tortured us, killed us!
The only reason I'm against this at all is because Deborah says she's done. There, that.
They seek a monster. Don't give it to them.
What was the thing we got from the beast? It's been so long, I've genuinely forgotten. You know... Oh, God! Hello, beast! Woo!
Blasted pest!
No! Fine. Fine, we'll do it again. I appreciate that when that misses, we don't use it up.
Your true selves!
Iframes! Is not doing as much as I would like.
Remember the agony! The terror!
Not again! Okay, the physics on that beam were pretty great. Get away! Get away! Ow! Andy! Move! Move! Move, Andy! Drink the thing!
Rage called me!
Whew. The heart.
If they live, they win. All of them.
Good news, we've killed most of them.
There must be a reckoning.
The pain may end right now. The reckoning is here.
Spare me your compassion, for it comes far too late.
Who are you?
I am retribution.
A word. An idea. But who are you?
Oh.
I am her fury.
No longer.
I am their nightmare.
You were.
Round 3?
You believe you've won. It will not be so easy. For I will haunt your dreams.
Yeah, right.
Is that an end to it?
Yes. If you want it to be.
Are you sure?
God, 7 years of this.
In your hand you weigh my death. The last stone laid upon my broken body.
I'm so very sorry.
Will you leave? Are you ready?
I have lingered so very long. Where now will I go?
I don't know. A better place, I believe. A quiet place.
Quiet is good.
Deborah Comenius, mere words can ill describe your suffering. And if they could, I'd not utter them now. Enough wrong has been done you. Your tale is told, and we thank you for it. You are heard, and free to go.
The real treasure is the trauma we endured along the way.
Hey, I'm right here.
Aye, you are.
It's time for the Lesser Palingenesis.
Time to bring you home.
Hopefully, I didn't fuck it
To
up.
word. Word to heart.
From flesh to word, word to heart.
Air to fire. Fire to earth. I'm hollowing. It's working.
Air to fire, fire to earth.
Ending to beginning, indivisible. Death to the living. Life to the dead.
Ending to beginning, indivisible. Death to the living. Life to the dead. Antea. Antea!
Bread.
It was. It was. You're back.
Thanks to you.
Now we can get Antea her own glowy shirt.
The curse is lifted.
Go!
Antea never fully recovered from the time when she was dead. And the things he'd done to bring her back had changed Red too. Some say you should fight for what you want. But some fights, I believe, are best lost.
Oh, shut up, Charles.
By their ordeal at the hands of the nightmare, the lovers must rebuild from the wreckage. A new and stronger union. For better or for worse. Now, far from the place where New Eden once stood, Red and Antea will renew their love. A shared interest will bind them once more. A taste for forbidden fruit.
It's fine. It's fine. So, technically, that's like it's not the bad end. There is a bad end that isn't this, thank goodness. But like, Dotenod seemed to be kind of pitching that one as the like, this is the evil path. But honestly, that's a perfectly, with the exception of Charles, and we'll get into Charles more in a minute, that's a perfectly happy ending in my book. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. And I actually think that the Ascend ending goes the other way, and it immediately made me like question Charles Davenport from the jump. We'll talk about that more in a minute. This is actually a perfect time to go ahead and take our break while we let the credits roll. And also to avoid pre-roll ads for the rest of the stream, or at least the next hour or so here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pop to break for 3 minutes here. So stand up, stretch, do whatever you need to do to take care of you. And we'll be back here in just a few. See you then. So we're still mid ad break because I have just learned that apparently, at least from what I can tell here, it seems like Twitch integration between Stream Deck and Twitch itself has broken. So part of our Be Right Back thing, which is meant to automatically start the ads, doesn't work anymore. Or at least for the moment, so I'll have to... that's probably the same reason that our CW didn't work earlier. So that's fun to learn. But yeah, I'm gonna do some troubleshooting on that after stream. But for now, at least we'll just have to go back to doing it the manual way. At least until next time. Speaking of, let me see if I fixed this thing. Aha. Hang tight for possible random chat command in the middle of stream. No, doesn't work. Alright. Weird. Why would that have just randomly broken now? Who knows? Yeah, there's just nothing to it. Bizarre, bizarre, bizarre. Alright, well, let's go ahead and remove this. There we go. Yes, hello, this is weird. Who may I say is calling? Alright, well, we'll need to figure that out soon. There, I think y'all are back now. So I was saying during the ad break there that apparently a lot of our Stream Deck Twitch integration has busted, which is fine. Kind of seemed like they were setting it up like this version of Red and Ante would be villains of another story. Yeah, kind of. Which, in keeping with this development team also having made Vampire, where like you're a vampire doctor and they're trying very hard to like push the fact that Jonathan is you know not really a good guy, also kind of a villain, but like not really. I'm just gonna go ahead and switch to this. It's a similar thing where it's like I can see what they were trying to say, and either they intentionally created like ludonarrative dissonance or they unintentionally did it, and this is technically the same. It's not the same developers exactly within Don't Nod, but it is the same studio that put out the first Life is Strange, which also kind of had some ludonarrative dissonance. So, yeah. Oh no, they might go on to kill more people who did terrible things? Exactly. So, here's how I've taken to looking at it. After watching that ending and being a little puzzled by it, particularly when Charles Davenport, the posthumous narrator we have, talks about, you know, they fought the good fight. There are some fights that I think are better lost. And I'm like, hang on, what the fuck? Went back through while I was playing the game on the Ascent ending. I don't think Charles Davenport is actually a good dude, is the thing. Like, from the very first time that we meet him and we find out that Antea's whole banish first, only, and always approach to handling haunting cases, she learned from Charles. And so when Charles got his ascent, it's because Red is willing to buck the trend, but Antea inherited Charles's motif, which was just banish everybody. You see a ghost, you banish it. That's it. Nothing else is accepted. And then every time he talks about, like when we wrapped up the Beast quest line, and then later on we moved, and Charles gave us an update on what had happened to the hunting camp, he tried to make it sound like it was like, oh, what a horrible thing that Thickskin Newsmith isn't here. And then you go back to the hunting camp, and like, it's doing great. They've built 3 new houses. Kate's a fantastic leader, actually, and like people who weren't being considered before now feel heard. They have food and protection, and it's unequivocally great. And it's like, Charles, are you seeing the same thing I am? Same thing happens with like Helen Priest in Fort Jericho, and Lammy Haskell in the Harrows. When you do the Ascent path, and I didn't record all of these, unfortunately. I would love to do a side-by-side, but like the same thing happens where if you spare Thickskin Newsmith, Saul Pennington, and Fairfax Haskell. Then later you get like an update from Charles. And I found it very interesting that the like diorama thing that they do while Charles is narrating, it's red when you chose the sacrifice path, and it's white when you choose the spare path, and it's like, subtle they're not. But like all three areas are objectively worse on the ascent path. Keeping Fairfax Haskell and Saul Pennington in particular alive makes everything worse for the people in their townships, which is, again, in direct conflict to Charles talking like, oh, thank God that they spared these people. You cannot give in to fury. And it's like, yeah, you can, and it would make things objectively better. The one exception, actually, is the hunting camp, because if you spare Thickskin, you get an interesting scene. I've recorded all of those. I'm going to post them up to YouTube probably tomorrow. But like, if you spare Thickskin Newsmith, you get a little bit more details early on about the whole thing with Kate and Deborah. And then later on, when you come back to the hunter's camp, you can essentially just tell Thickskin, hey, you're toxic, could you get out? And she goes, all right. And she goes and lives up by herself and leaves the place to Kate. So the hunter's camp is good regardless. So that's the one that goes the other way. Every other place, the Harrows and Fort Jericho, are objectively worse with Haskell and Pennington in charge, and I just think that's deeply funny. And Charles treats them all as neutral. He's got this very, let me go ahead and say it, got this very centrist approach to the, oh, things are a little better, oh, but they could be worse though, to every single one of his narrations, which I know is kind of what they're trying to build to, but they don't do that with the haunting cases. Only Charles tries to take this incredibly neutral path, and I think he's just wrong. I think Charles Davenport is just incorrect. And I like that the narrative seems to support that. I genuinely don't know if the writers know that they did that or if they oopsed into it. If it's intentional, it's brilliant. If it's unintentional, it's embarrassing. What if you don't tell Kate to fuck off into the woods, though? So if you spare Thickskin, then she and Kate have a fight, and Kate goes off into the woods. You go and find Kate to make sure she's okay. She's fine. She just can't stand being in the hunter's camp while Thickskin is there. So you go back to Thickskin, and they're like, hey, Kate won't come back as long as you're here. And that's when Thickskin goes, all right, and fucks off. And it's like, oh, that was super easy. It's almost comical how easy that one is to resolve, where Thickskin is like, I don't really like people anyway, I'm gonna go live by myself in the woods, Kate can have the place, and then Kate comes back and then everything's fine. So if we did what we did, which was sacrifice Thickskin, we just sort of cut out the fight in the middle. That would be the one I think I would reverse, is that I if now, knowing what I know now, I would have spared Thickskin and given Kate the chance to yell at her sister properly before everything ultimately ended up the same. I'm sad I didn't record that bit. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. But it's just deeply funny how Thickskin is like, yeah, all right, and just leaves. And there's no conflict, there's no fighting it. She's like, I'm actually happier out here. That's the one that goes the other way. All right. So I have prepped up. Let me actually go ahead and get out of this for a moment. Boop. We're going to go into a new setup that I've got. We've got plenty of time, as I anticipated, so we're going to take a moment and I want to show you guys the other... Technically, I think there are 4 endings. I got the 3 major ones. The Ascent ending kind of branches based on how like committed you are to it. I like that on the Resurrection route, as long as it's either you succeed or you fail, that's it. And on the Ascent route, there's you fail it, you succeed kinda, and you succeed all the way, which is interesting. It also suggests to me that the writers definitely think the Ascent path is the good ending, which goes back to that whole, it's just kind of embarrassing. I just remembered I kind of hate people by almost literally the conversation. It's very funny. I'm like, wow, you're awful, but in a way that isn't harmful. Good luck. It worked great. So we're just going to show the other 2 endings because I want to show you all those and in my continued rants about this game. So first, let's do the Ascent ending. This is the technically the better of the two Ascent endings.
The time has come, and I must go.
And that's very quiet. Let me fix that.
Promise I made.
You actually want to lead all these assholes? Okay, bye.
We've done good work here. We've made my death count for something.
Someday we'll meet again.
Take all the time in the world.
I'm gonna actually boost that a little bit. How audible is that? Is that way too quiet?
These years I've spent by your side have made me a better man. You've taught me to survive. You've taught me to live. Thank you. From my heart of hearts, thank you. Farewell, my love.
Death for the dead.
Life for the living.
And there she goes. I like how this part of both endings is genuinely very sweet, whether you choose Resurrection or Ascent. I think their last moments together, or their first moments of the new life together, are both just unequivocally very, very romantic, very sweet. Also, I'm happy I found a coat that's the exact same coat as in our main playthrough, but it's color swapped apparently. I don't know if that's exclusive to the Ascent route.
If grief is an odyssey through hell, then what appears to be the end is often just a beginning. New Eden never recovered. For years, neither did Red. But in time, the pain of Antaea's loss faded, and only the bittersweet beauty of their love lived on in his memory. Who knows? Perhaps, years from now, a legendary Scotsman, his hair grey, shall sit with his children and many apprentices and tell them a story. The tale of his beloved Antaea. Of how she lived, and how she died, and how together, in New Eden, they lifted a curse and defeated a nightmare.
Right, so that's obviously meant to be, like, a happier ending. I think it's still at least as Pyrrhic as the Resurrection ending, if not objectively worse. There's the middle one, if you ascend the majority of people, but not by as wide of a margin, you get a middle one where it starts out exactly the same, but then instead of like going back home and apparently fathering children with someone else and telling them the story, Red sails to Cuba to go and meet Antaea's family and tell them what happened to her, which I think is actually, for me, the better of the two Ascent endings, even though it's the one that you only get if you like just narrowly keep your promise. it all seems a little bit backwards to me. I don't love the idea of Red remarrying after Antea. Yeah, I also thought that the inclusion there of talking to his children and the implications thereof was like, don't love that. Who are these two with him? I think one of them from the haircut was Seeker. I didn't recognize the other one. I would laugh if it's Seeker and somehow Ceridian at the same time. Like if her ghost shows up with Seeker, which doesn't seem out of the possibility. But I didn't recognize the other one. A lot of people in New Eden sucked, so it's fine to blame them. Yes, exactly. I agree. Now, I will say, in defense only of the people of New Eden that we didn't spend as much time with, so there are, not counting the tutorial haunting case with Charles, there are 24 total haunting cases. I think we streamed like 7. So there are plenty, including a very sweet lesbian couple, just wonderfully and canonically. It's also where we learned that Antea is bi, which I thought was a very cute little side note, where she basically says, I've loved a woman once, as a way to kind of reassure these two undercover lesbians that, like, no, we're not going to judge you here. It's just there is also a ghost situation and we need to solve it. There are plenty of genuinely awesome people in New Eden. Lamentation, I absolutely think I think he's certainly on the way there. Seeker, unequivocally phenomenal human being. And I guess if we count Ceridian as a different person, Deborah was great. She's just gone now, and that's what we blame the rest of them for. It's maybe overall about 50-50. But like, we met Florence and her wonderful husband. We met lots of genuinely great people. It's a shame that some of them are ghosts. But Lammy might be the other person at the grave. That's a good point, actually. That seems likely to me that Lammy would be the other person to be there. Undercover Lesbians coming this fall. If that's not already a bookend or movie title, what are we even doing? But it might have been Esther. That's right. I feel like Esther has I feel like I would have recognized the high bun and like collar thing that she's got going on. So I think your first guess is correct. Given that one of them was definitely Seeker, I bet the other one was Lammy, because the two of them spent the most time with us. But yeah, there are a lot of, this is me speaking on behalf of weird fictional characters, but it's just my like shortened stream of it. I didn't want to give the impression that like everyone in this game that we talked to is an asshole. That's not quite correct. If you just stick to like the main storyline, then you're gonna meet a higher percentage of jackasses. Whereas if you do like the side stuff, you'll find a lot more sweet people, very much worth helping, which is nice. That's right, Jasmine. I'm gonna turn this back on, and actually, wait, I don't think I have it on this scene. I don't. Pretend that there's a cat cam over here. I'll add it to this scene later. Anyways, that was the Ascent ending. I want to show you the bad ending, because this is actually the one I got on my first playthrough, and it's weirdly informative.
Ending to beginning, indivisible. Death to the living. Life to the dead.
Ending to beginning, indivisible. Death to the living. Life to the dead. Antea. Antea!
Liar.
What?
You swore on it, Rory McWraith. You swore you'd bring me back.
Step away, Banisher. That's not Antea.
How?
At our first meeting, I took your measure. I found you wanting. How I was right.
What the hell? Where's Antea?
You have failed her. Again.
Deborah! Enough games. Let them go. Let us go.
Hush, child. The adults are talking.
And we actually get to see her turn into Ceridian.
No. Leave her. She's innocent.
Innocence is another name for buried guilt.
She's not done with us. Not by a long way. Not for a long time. Find me. Find us.
Traitor, oathbreaker, rat! You forsook your one true love! For this you deserve a reward. The same reward over and over!
No! Let her go! Please! Let her go! I beg you, no! Take me instead! Let her go!
Cowardice, anger, treachery. This and more is the stuff of our tragedy. Zealotry, ignorance, hubris. The list of human failings is endless, and in this fertile soil grows all of our miseries. Though Antea and Red won many battles against a devious and relentless foe, right now, the war seems lost. For a nightmare is born of the darkest injustice and will brook no mercy. But hope remains. The curse may yet be lifted. Some brave soul may yet defy the nightmare that once was Deborah Comenius in the meeting house in New Eden. She awaits their return.
Virgo!
Ah, you're awake.
Who are you?
So I didn't really expect this to be a time loop game, and then that happened. And on my second playthrough, I realized that, like, there's actually a lot more hints about time shenanigans happening a lot earlier, and I just didn't pick up on them the first time because I was just catching everything. The nightmare essentially has some amount of control over time within its domain. There's the moment where Red and Ante are talking to the nightmare before we fight it the first time, saying, like, we know what happened to you. And she actually changes the tense and say, like, happens to me, I shatter yet. Suggesting that the nightmare has actually been caught kind of in her own loop of reliving Deborah's last moments for 7 years, which is horrifying. But also that she has control when she, like, brought all the pews and the window back into the meeting house and stuff like that. She's rewinding time. There's one of the haunting cases that even deals with someone where it's the person and it's their own ghost from the future who comes back to try and avert their death, and it's wild. So there's, like, all kinds of weird loops. Saul Pennington, who is old Saul even while Saul Pennington is still alive, who is hunting his daughter Grace, who has become Seeker, who's become Ceridian, and it's like, wee! It's a beautiful mess. But it was very unexpected to me to have, like, oh, and also, if you fuck up, it sends you all the way back to the start, and you get to just try again, and you can just play the game from there, as though it's Red's second loop, and try again. If you don't know what the conditions are to get the ending you're looking for, to keep your promise, then yeah, you can just get sent back, and it's not actually a new game plus, you're just reset to the beginning. Or at least a little bit. I didn't replay a full playthrough, so I don't know if there's, like, a box with all your stuff around the corner. But it just kicks you all the way back. It's wild. Yeah, right, you just power level it. But yeah, so this game fascinated me. I got way more out of it than I expected, because it's enough of a, like, double A-ish game that I fully expected to be more disappointed with it. I don't think that it's on par with the other games in this series, very few things I think could keep up with Slay the Princess or Signalis, but I had a great time with this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one as well. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. Exactly. That this game caught me off guard because it was way better than I expected, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was like super good. It just means that I had low expectations for it. But particularly the different endings and the haunting cases, I think, yeah, I like it. So on that note, let me make sure that I've got the. Let me just open this a little bit wider for a moment. So let's talk about Happy Ever After season. By my count, and I think I've got this correct. So Signalis has 4 endings. There's Leave, which is the one that we got on stream. Memory, Promise, and Artifact, which is the bonus ending that we showed on stream. Of those endings, I think only Artifact could even be argued as a happy ending, because Leave, Elster breaks down almost immediately. Memory and Promise, spoilers, are not particularly happy. I think they're narratively satisfying as hell, but they're not happy endings. And then Artifact, when you go through a weird rigmarole involving like TTV signals, and if you do all of that and whatnot, then you get Elster gets to dance with Ariana again. I'm calling that a happy ending. So I think we got 1 for 4 there. It's not particularly great. Little Goody Two Shoes. This one, it actually has like an ending tracker, which is nice. So I know that there are exactly 10 endings. In 7 of those, horrible things happen. So, but in 3 of them, they are unequivocally, inarguably happy endings. Those are the 3 where Elise ends up with her partner of choice, and they go on to have grand adventures. And I love that there are 3 different happy endings. But 3 out of 10 still is not great percentage-wise, but at least there are 3 happy endings. So numerically, it's got the most. Slay the Princess, obviously, each chapter has several endings, and there are so many chapters. So, like, one could argue that there are quite a few more endings than 7. 7 is the kind of ultimate endings, when you've finished all of your routes and you're standing before the shifting mound, and you have that kind of final confrontation, as it were, where we went back to the cabin and walked out the door with the princess. That was the actual end. There are lots of like mini endings along the way, but ultimately there are 7 endings, which, if you didn't know that there are 7 endings, there are so many, and they are wildly different, and I don't want to spoil them. We streamed so much of that game, I'm going to leave at least some secrets behind, but there are 7 ultimate endings in Slay the Princess, and of them, I think you could probably make an argument for more than 2 of them being happy, but I think 2 of them are objectively, inarguably happy endings, whereas the other 5 have something that makes them seem a little dour, or maybe this is not good, actually, depending on how you look at it. I think you could argue me with the 2 on this one, but I'm saying there are 2 objectively very happy endings in Slay the Princess. Again, there might be more. And then we just saw in Banishers, there's the Resurrection ending. There are 2 Ascent endings that end more or less the same way, tonally speaking. And then there's the bad end where you repeat the loop. Of those, honestly, Resurrection is the only one I'm saying is a happy ending, because the one where like Red goes on to remarry and have children, and the one where he goes to Cuba to talk to Antea's family is, again, narratively satisfying, but it's not a happy ending. But the Resurrection one where she comes back honestly seems great. So again, 1 for 4 there. I argue the happiness level of Slay the Princess endings depends on what you want. Yes, and I try to draw a line between narratively satisfying versus like happy for the characters involved. And that's why a couple of the ones on the Slay the Princess route, this is me trying to talk around spoilers, but I know Bad Red knows this. A couple of the ones on the Slay the Princess route, it seems like somebody is going to be unhappy with that ultimate outcome of the 2 main characters. So I'm like, I don't know that I count that as a happy ending here. And that means that our ultimate percentage here across all of these games, the number of happy endings out of total possible endings, 28%. Which is not super high. Hi, Jasmine. It does kind of suggest that I maybe chose a bad title. I like that each of these games has at least one, and in many cases only one, unequivocally happy ending. I think it would be easy to argue that Signalis does not have a happy ending, period. But yeah, 28% again is not superb, but that's our final count for for the first half of 2024. I am honestly curious, going back through like games that I've streamed over the last several years. This might actually be our overall happy ending count, because like, I don't know, look at both of the Plague Tale games, or God, so many of the games out there. If you look at the ones that, particularly ones that only have one ending, and just add them to a Ghost Song, there. I don't stream a lot of happy ending games, so I think this is a pretty good representation, all things considered, of the happy endings for the channel. Let's say so. At least we're toeing the line, on that front. Thank you all for enduring. Might be a good way to put it. This happy ever after season. I think we have clawed some genuine joy from the endings of these games. We definitely had a lot of fun along the way in all of these games, which I think is really the important thing. But yeah, I set this one for myself as a challenge originally, just with the first 3 games, and then Banishers came out, and I'm like, well, this is perfect. And yeah, I'm proud to say that they all have about the same percentage. I think Little Goody Two Shoes has the highest percentage of happy endings at like 33.33%. And I think Slay the Princess comes in second. But it's not a high amount. I do a lot of sad games. So, on the subject of sad games, I think we're going to be pivoting to some happier ones. Certainly some shorter ones, which I talked about at the start of the stream. I even have. No, I'll wait to demo to showcase the new season and season icon next Monday, when we actually kick off the season. But we're gonna do some traveling games, which might sound like a silly category, but I had just a number of games that fit perfectly into that. We're gonna start with Far Lone Sails. Which is one of at least 2 Far games. There's Far Lone Sails, Far Changing Tides, which are both games about always to the east. It's funny you say that, actually, because at least Far Lone Sails, I haven't played Changing Tides, but Far Lone Sails is a game in which you are just constantly going to the right, which you could argue is east. But it's a fun one. It's all about essentially managing a Rube Goldbergian transit device. I don't know a better way to describe it. It's not a car for sure, but it's you're just a little guy, and you got to like run to different chambers to like keep the engine from being on fire, and then load more fuel. And I don't know. I think it's very fun. And yeah, it's a very cute game. We'll have that one, and we'll have Changing Tides, and then we're gonna do. I had a third one, I promise. It's called A Highland Song, which I was going to do after this one, but I realized that 2 Scots back to back might be a little much, so we're saving that one for after the Far games. But A Highland Song is a delightful little like rhythm exploration game that I've had a lot of fun with. So that's the plan for the horizon. That's basically summer. That's what I've just described. I think is basically going to be a good chunk of our summer stream schedule. And we'll kick that off next week. I said at the start I didn't think we were going to use the full time to finish Banishers, and I was a lot more right than I thought I was. So we're actually gonna go ahead and wrap up here super early. as we call an end to Happy Ever After stream, and I'm probably going to use this last hour to troubleshoot my stream deck and find out why it's not talking to Twitch anymore. But you don't need to watch that on stream. I guess I could keep streaming if people are interested in such things. I could put that on screen and try to troubleshoot, but I imagine that's going to put some people to sleep. So I'm going to I didn't call it here. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out for this whole season and this whole game. And we'll kick off with Far Lone Sails next Monday at our regular time. Be sure to check out the full schedule at schedule.truck.community. That has what our whole stream team is up to all week long. Links to their channels, what they're streaming at what times on what days, the whole shebang. We got that updated for this week. And I think in about an hour here, I think it was going to be Remy over on twitch.tv/SquirrelLily playing Salt and Sanctuary. I'm going to look that up here just to be sure. You know what? I've got the thing right here. There. Since my buttons aren't working, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Yes, Remy plays Salt and Sanctuary. They're it's gonna have a guest. No, pardon me. They're gonna have a guest, but I don't know who exactly it's going to be. But keep an eye out for that. Our channel here will auto-host. But you can just head to twitch.tv/SquirrelLily in, again, about an hour, that they will kick things off. The other thing, I guess, is that in probably first thing tomorrow morning, over at our YouTube channel, will be a video compilation that will show the Ascent endings, or the Ascent paths, for Thickskin Newsmith, Saul Pennington, and Fairfax Haskell. For those who are curious about how differently that went, I went ahead and captured those and sent them. It's interesting how much more like plot details you get, particularly from Kate and from Saul if you go the Ascent route. Haskell not so much, because I guess Lamentation is really the one who has more of the intel on that front. But the first two, if you go the Ascent route, you get lots of good like plot nuggets about the situation with Deborah much earlier. Whereas if you go the Blame route, right, like we did, you kind of have to pull that stuff out later in the run. And I'm not sure which is better. So that's that on that. Streaming nap time? Maybe I should fire up Abzu and meditate and leave my stream up. That's fair. Abzu, I think, ABZU, I think is the if it's the game I'm thinking of, which is also a very chill one. I've played a little bit of it. I don't think I ever finished it, which it's only like a couple hour game. I should probably go ahead and do that at some point, but that's not currently on the list. Yeah, all right. I think that's it for me babbling. I'll just say thank you all again, and good luck. You know what? Good luck with whatever you need to troubleshoot in your life. There, that's my sign off for the night. Good night, everybody, and I will see you next time. Now let's see if the end stream button works.